Okay, we're back. Today, we're going to be making a Fletcher in the finite state machine style. So, let's get ourselves a knife and some logs. What the hell? Okay. I don't know. We'll buy some logs. Let's get some logs. Oh, we already got a knife. Well, anyway. So, if we want to make this in the style of a finite state machine, we have to define our states as an enum. So e state, and then we'll list the names of the states. So each state is basically what can be acted on. So for example, a state can be, it's good practice to start an enum with none. So we'll put none. This is like, if it can't find anything else, then it will return none. The reason it's good practice is because this is the default. So just as an example of that, if I right line the state here, it will just say none. So it's defaulted. Even if I put something else like state 1, this still right lines out none. So anyway, what states do we want for our Fletcher? Open bank, deposit items, withdraw items, and fletch. I mean, what else do we need? Once we're done fletching, then we want to open the bank again, deposit items, withdraw items. I suppose we could do a close bank. Like, this is basically, we're ready. To set up finite state machine, you basically can't go wrong by creating like pairs of functions. So function for my like pairs of functions for each state. So function should open bank. This always returns a boolean because we're asking a question: should we open the bank? Yes or no. So should open bank, and then just function open bank. That's what I mean by pairs. Is we have should open bank and open bank. It's a pair, and then deposit items should deposit items, and then deposit items. So we can kind of copy this and should deposit items, and this is just deposit items. And then we'll just do this over and over. You can be smarter about this, like do some fancy footwork with Visual Studio Code or something, multi-line selection, and maybe I'll show that another day. But for now, let's just fill this in. Should withdraw items. Should close bank. Close bank. Function should fletch. And finally, just fletch. I want to do a bit of planning beforehand. Let's create a recipe, and we can get a little smart about this. This is like a collection of information that we can use once it's set up to use logic on. So for example, a recipe contains, maybe we'll call it tcombine recipe because it implies we want to use one item on another item. So let's say if there's a tool, just a TRS item, let's say item 1 amount, 2 item 2 amount. Okay, maybe we have like different generic helpers. So we'll call it combine, and this is a function of object. How do we do that? All right, we need to import WaspScripts. So let's do that. What's that thing called? Scoped enums? Scoped enums on. Cool, this actually compiles. So we can come up with some different combine functions. So let's call function combine tool. So combine tool will use our tool on our item. And let's have a make index as part of our recipe. So we can say inventory.use. Okay, let's just make a global variable called our recipe for now. And inside of our init, we'll set that up. So recipe is going to equal, what are we doing here? We're combining a knife. Sorry, so tool, knife, second item is logs. The amount is, I guess, make.quantity all. The item 2 is nothing for this recipe. Make index is, well, let's find out. It is 1. So we found out before that that's 0. It's 0 indexed. And combine recipe.combine, it's going to equal combine tool. Pretty sure you have to do it. So use tool recipe.tool on recipe.item1, and then make dot wait until make.select recipe.make index. Quantity is quantity all. So is there a make quantity all? Yeah, that's what we want then. And use keyboard is we want to do that if possible. So I think that's good. Let's do some quick error handling. So if we aren't able to select this, then wasn't able to use make, and then we'll just exit. So this will at least alert us. So how about we do this first? We'll do some error handling here. Wasn't able to use tool on item 1. And we'll exit. So now we're sure that we're actually selected our make recipe. So let's wait until not inventory.contains item 1. And we'll wait, like, I don't know, it's reasonable, like a minute and a half. Fletching can take a while. Okay, so let's see if this compiles. Recipe.item1. Recipe.item1. Did I forget to fill this in? Yes, I did. So once we've used our items on each other, we'll wait 10 seconds. Okay, cool. This is compiling. So let's make a run. And this is just a init. No, sorry. It's a init and then run. Whatever, capitalize these. Okay, so what does our run do? Let's just combine. Oh no. So actually it's Fletch, because this is going to do recipe.combine. Which returns a bool, and it will return a bool if we are able to use and then select, and then we don't have any left. Let's try this out. And there you go, it just made our arrow shafts. Should Fletch? Let's just start filling these in. If bank.is open, then exit false. If inventory.contains all. So I'm thinking right now about what about when our Fletch does not have a tool. So we probably don't want to just contains all. So if recipe.tool does not equal list, then so we're going to handle the tool case separately. Well, how about we check if we have all our items? Okay, we'll do this one step at a time. Recipe.item1. Okay, we can't actually have a combined recipe with item one, so we can be sure that this exists. So now, if not inventory, that contains our second one. So maybe we can just combine these. If we don't have recipe 1, then we shouldn't fletch. If we say that we should have an item 2 and we don't have it, then we shouldn't fletch. If we say that we should have a tool and we don't have it, then we shouldn't fletch. Otherwise, we're good. So result is true. We have narrowed down our state into whether or not we should fletch. Okay, so close bank. When do we close bank? These two functions are kind of the same, but it's actually if bank.is open, then you exit true, but that's at the very end. So this is kind of like supplies. We have supplies, so function has supplies. So if basically the result of this is if the bank is open and we have supplies. So, but that's actually should close bank. So we should close the bank if it's open and we have our supplies. So let's move has supplies above that. So close bank, we demonstrate OSRS bank.close and always press escape. Should fletch. No, but that's actually result is bank dot is open or bank dot is closed and we have supplies. So it's kind of like this. So fletch is just for speed up. Withdraw items. We can kind of be smarter about this as well. Because has supplies is almost like has no missing items. Because missing items could be what we want to withdraw. So let's make a new type to carry quantity the item amount. This item amount 1. And yeah, this isn't too scalable in case your recipe has like more than 2 items, but you could do something more clever. I'm not that clever. We need to fix these up. Let's just not compile. It can tell us some good information. Unexpected to end. Oh. Condition parameter is invalid. But seriously? Did I just destroy important information earlier? Yeah, I did. I removed make index for some stupid reason. Cool. To use and lab, you need to not have comparisons. You can have Boolean expressions, but comparisons need to be wrapped. Whatever, we can wrap our knots. So now we need to say how many of these things we have. Well, this was our bank quantity all. Actually, the tool is just the item. These are our T item amounts. This is our make index. This is our... We actually don't need that anymore. That was our amount before. So we're compiling, we're good right now. What should we do next? Oh, right, we were going to get missing items, actually. We'll call it here. Get missing items. And let's just make an array out of this. So T item amount is, no, sorry, it's not a record. Just an array of T item amount. So get missing item amounts will return that for our recipe. If this logic and the amount is 1, if we want to just keep using this logic, we want to count our first item, the item at 1 to item, and not our count of it is equal to quantity. So, this is a little verbose. Can we name this something? What could we name this? So, how many... The amount that we're missing is the amount that we want minus the amount we have. So need is want minus have, and this is item 1, not the tool. So we need this logic again for item 2. Sorry, that's bad logic. Okay, so item 2, item 2, item 2, item 2, item 2. Okay, so let's just try this. Get missing item amounts. Recipe.tool. Cool. Let's see what it says we're missing. What the hell, man? So what's happening right now? We added the final thing in our array. Results, I results. Let's just put this in each time. We'll see if we're actually adding these. So what I think is happening here is we're actually getting into this function, even though we shouldn't be. Is that true? Yes. Yeah, we're getting in here even though we shouldn't be. Let's just right line the recipe here. Take a look at what's that look like. So yeah, item is empty. I also just noticed that we probably want 27. So how can we check if the item is empty? Can we say nil? It's a variant. Are variants pointers? No. I guess it's null. I don't know. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so we should be using is null for items. So should we withdraw items? Well, we should withdraw items if it's missing amounts. Returns anything that has a quantity not 0. If item amounts dot quantity greater than 0, then exit 0. That's it. Like, we want to withdraw items if any of the item amounts in our get missing items has a quantity greater than 0. That makes a lot of sense. So in this case, both our knife and our logs would trigger this to tell us to withdraw items. So now that we have this get missing item amounts, it's really simple to withdraw items. So it's basically going to be the same loop here. So should withdraw items. Should withdraw items is kind of like we need get missing item amounts for that as well. It's almost like this get missing item amounts controls everything here. So should open banks is actually this as well. But it's not just this, it's also if, you know what? I think we should open the bank if we're missing items, because our Fletcher will wait until this is done completely before moving along. So if bank dot is open, then exit false. If we're missing any items, then we should open the bank. Let's just use banks.walk open. We'll set up the GE. Let's just do WASP stuff. So opening bank, we're just going to bank walk open. I don't care. Should we deposit items? We want to deposit items if we have random items that aren't in our recipe. So what I'm thinking about here is how do we get random items in this? It's basically, you know what? Let's just use everything. Speed.tool, item amount 1, item amount 2. This is bank dot, if bank dot is closed, we shouldn't deposit if the bank's not open, of course. otherwise. So random items. You know what? This is stupid. You can definitely over-engineer something that's really simple. So our recipe item to deposit here, it's actually not. We should only deposit if okay, so we want to deposit if we have that item. That makes sense. And then deposit items is just depositing this. The buttons. Yeah, why not? The result of this is that. So we said we were going to make a finite state machine, and we haven't even used our state yet. So let's do that now. If should open bank, then exit open bank. And then we need a do action. And whatever, we'll make this restrictor. So this is the counterpart to get state. Case get state of eState dot, then we'll just copy this thing again. So you know what? Let's just grab this so we can print it out. So open bank. It's pretty simple. So let's fill this in now. It should deposit items, then if should withdraw. If should close bank. If should Fletch, then. And there's certainly some interesting logic that comes out of this, like we should never deposit items if we should open bank. So in this, you actually don't have to check this because it will have been caught here already. So we should have, if we should open bank, then we would have sent open bank. And if we shouldn't open bank, then that means the bank is open. Okay, well, anyway, now we have a loop. So we should be able to just run this now. Okay, never mind. We don't need this random items anymore. So what about in here? Deposit items? No. What about bank items? Bank item we still need. Okay, right, because we said that enums are scoped, you have to use the actual enum to call the value off. All right, let's see what happens here. So open the bank. So it's telling us to withdraw items, but we're not withdrawing items. Oh, well, I guess that's why we didn't do anything. We just copied this in here. So let's try it out. Right, you always gotta give it to, to... Actually, let's use quantity buttons. That's fine. I don't care. Okay, it's telling us getting... Basically, none of these are getting called. So you see we're getting none. This is when it's defaulting. So that means that get state has actually gotten to here and it's exited as the default. We've got past should withdraw items, and now we're wondering why we shouldn't close bank. And it's because this doesn't return true anymore. So, right, we were gonna fix this up to be get missing item amounts. Why don't we just do this? That's probably fine. I mean, according to our state machine, this will never get called, but let's just be a little specific here. Okay, and now, for some reason, oh, right, we're doing has. Okay, so this time we didn't even need to open our bank, and it knew that we should fletch. Let's take this a little further, because we know that we can't just make arrow shafts forever. So let's do t-combine recipe array. Okay, there's a bug. So get missing item amounts needs to take into account whether or not we have a deposit item. If recipe.deposit item, if it's not null, then item 1 count plus equal 1. I don't know. Let's just deposit item count, I guess. This is probably smarter to do. Like, do some fucked up shit. So deposit item count is going to be equal to our inventory.count again. And then the amount we want to withdraw, just subtract this, because if this was 27, then we only want to withdraw 26. I'll show that right here. Too many parameters. got it backwards, eh? So the items to keep is going to be whatever. Let's on our recipe add this items to keep. So it's called the arrow shaft. We're just gonna call it that as well. So item to keep curious item. So this is the item we don't want to deposit. We could come up with some strategies, but we're just gonna do it kind of simple, I guess. Okay, so I think that's fine now. I should tell us where we're making this mistake. Oh, I see. I got these backwards. Item to keep comes before item to deposit. So now it knows that we want 26. Tries to double click it because it's not waiting long enough. So let's fix that up. Alright, let's just put it to half a second. Let's see if that works. Right, so we're going to come up with some recipes because this is quickly going to fall apart. I think I can just put it in there. So let's do that. And then recipe is going to be equal to recipes. And we can just do that for now. Let's make in our init set up recipes. Okay, so our bot's kind of stuck. Let's just craft these last ones for it while we fill this in. So what's the next thing we want to craft here? Does it make sense to... Let's feather these. So our tool is actually... Okay, this is kind of interesting. So we want to have feather and arrow shaft. So how can we do this? Let's say if they're -1. And let's add a... Fuck, okay. I guess feather can be... And this will need to be... Let's fill this in now. So this is more complicated, but we're doing this for our future selves. So tool now is an item amount. So let's just try and compile this to get all our tool issues out. So missing item amounts. Wait, do we have information about if it's stackable? No. Okay, so now we know if it's stackable or not. Yeah, this makes sense. Basically, if we find any items that we don't have, but we know that they're stackable, then we'll just withdraw all of them. Cool. That was going to be for our feather. I don't know, let's just test this out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it would be awesome if it just straight up worked. Oh, right. It's still trying to do the first recipe, so we have to change it to our second recipe. Okay, so that worked, but so we have the wrong combined tool. So what? Okay, so maybe we should, since these ones don't have an all option, this one's weird. Maybe we need like a wait time on our recipe. So now we have the ability to just make the amount. Next thing we want to make is probably some bows, or maybe we want to make oak arrow shafts. We just hit level 15, so I don't know. So we can add some anti-ban, like here. So I just wanted to quickly look at this account again. So you can see we have 84 fletching after a few days. And yeah, it's running pretty well. Thanks for checking it out.